Today, we are going to be talking about how to book your hotel, including how to choose your hotel, how to find the best rates, and where to go to find it. Also, we'll be talking about travel insurance, why you need it, and how to buy it for yourself. Are you ready? Let's go. Thank you so much for stopping by today. My name is Linda Jones. I am the CEO of Crafted Travel Company and the author of Travel Agent Secrets. And I want to welcome you back to day 2 of our 3-part series on solo travel planning. This is also actually excellent for anybody planning any kind of travel, but specifically for solo female travelers. Now, today I want to talk to you about hotels. We're going to cover where to go to find the absolute best prices, how to do your research to make sure you're choosing the right hotel for you, and then we're going to move on to travel insurance, why you need it, where to find it, and how to get that as well. So let's go ahead and dive in. So the first thing you want to do is so real quick, before we jump into the next thing, I want to let you know I've created a resource in the links below. You can download it for free, and it covers absolutely everything that we're going to be talking about today, as well as the other 2 videos. It covers everything solo travel planning, step by step, with links, with secrets I haven't covered in these videos. So go on and head over there now, and you can download your copy for free. Okay, I'm done. Let's go. Do a little bit of research. Again, we're going to come back to YouTube. Excellent place to research. Simply type in the country that you're going to and the city that you're going to, and you'll find a bunch of reviews of hotels, particularly of solo women that have gone to those hotels that can tell you from firsthand experience, really great places to stay. Excuse me. So I research on YouTube. TripAdvisor, of course, always has the highest rated hotels so that you can gauge where you want to be and what the ratings are and what people's experiences have actually been. The other thing is if you find any blogs of travelers that have been those places and they can make recommendations about hotels. One thing that I really want to encourage you to do is if you are traveling internationally for the first time is to pick a hotel that has that's reputable, that is established, that has good recommendations, that has good ratings, even if it means you might pay a little bit more money, because the last thing you want to do is get into a sketchy place when you're all alone in a brand new city. This is particularly important if you are traveling to a little slightly more dangerous location, or supposed to be dangerous. You really want to stick with the reputable companies, the bigger hotel chains that you know are going to have a few more safety precautions and just be a better, more stable place for you to stay. So that's something that I always look to when I'm going to a new destination. For instance, I traveled solo to Mexico City. Mexico City is by far not at the top of the safety lists. It actually tends to be a little bit more on the dangerous side, but if you stay in the right places, you can still have a safe trip. And I did, and I'll talk about that a little bit more. But I stuck to the well-known hotels in the nice areas. That way I knew I had that extra level of security and stable safety. It was a more comfortable place to be. Let's put it that way. Once you have decided the basic area that you want to go to, and maybe you've actually decided on the actual hotel you want to go to, then I always do all of my hotel bookings by checking 3 websites. And I'd like to show you those right now. Okay, the very first place that I always go for all hotels is Google. Google Flights for all flights is a key place that we go for that, but also Google Hotels. And I got that up here for you so I can give you a basic idea of how this works and why I like it so much. For our purposes, I'm going to say we're going to go to Tokyo because I did travel to Tokyo last year, and it's incredible. If there's any way I can convince you to go to Japan for your first solo international trip, I highly recommend it. It is the safest place I've ever been, my own city included. It was just incredible, so I highly recommend it. But that's beside the point. I'll do another video about that later to share my experiences. But for now, I want to show you what Google Hotels can offer. So I'm saying we're going to Tokyo. I'm going to just say for our purposes, we're going to travel in November. When hopefully coronavirus is over and we can all start traveling again. So I'm going to say November for our trips, and we're going to search. Now, the reason that I like
Google Hotels is not only does it give me everything, it gives me the map so I can see where it is in relation to where my excursions are and be able to plan that accordingly. I can also see where it is in regard to the airports and how I can get to those. But for instance, excuse me, if you look through here and you see, for instance, this hotel is an incredible hotel, what it does is it allows you to view pricing on several websites. It's not just pricing from one location. So in a very quick glance, you can look to see where the cheapest rates are available. Also, if it has anything special. So for instance, hotels.com has a special right now where it's $211, but it comes with some free cancellation, and I believe it has some free breakfast. But it's a really easy way to look through and find out who has the best pricing available for that particular hotel for your particular dates. That's number one. Number two I like to go to is Trivago. Now, Trivago is the same basic situation as Google Hotels. In fact, I trust Google Hotels a little bit more, but sometimes you're going to get a little bit different pricing on Trivago. So for instance, if I look at the exact same time frame in Tokyo and I do a search and we go back to the same hotel that I was looking at on Google Hotels, it's also doing the same thing. It's comparing prices from a bunch of different places, but you'll find that they're a little different. So for instance, booking.com here with the free breakfast and the free cancellation is showing up as $233, whereas over here, booking.com is showing at $211. Now this one might be the rate without the free breakfast, but you can see how there's slightly different prices at each place. So that's why I like to look at both so that I can make sure that I'm finding the absolute cheapest price available.
Okay, so one quick caveat to that is you do not have to go to every single hotel website out there in the planet in order to find the best price. As you can see from those two websites, they actually compile and compare all of those little tiny booking engines, the booking.coms and the hotel.coms and all of those things. So it gives you a nice list of exactly what prices you're going to find there. That's why I love these websites, is because it's a great place to bring it all together so you could see it in one glance and know exactly where you're going to find the absolute best price for the hotels that you want. It also brings together all of the different hotel options so that you can choose which one you're going to want.
Now, the third place I like to look is the actual hotel itself, their website, because a lot of times the hotel itself has the best rate guarantee on their website because they want you to book from them. They don't want to pay commission to somebody else. They want you to book directly through them. That way they have a captive audience. Now, if the hotel's website is indeed the cheapest or is the same as everybody else, I always recommend booking on the hotel's website directly. That way you are more secure in your reservation. If something happens and you've booked it on booking.com, you don't have to go to booking.com to make adjustments and changes. You can go directly to the hotel. A lot of times, if that's the availability, if it's the cheapest, if it's the best price, I like to book there instead because I don't want to have to deal with a third party if something happens and I need to make changes. That's why I like to go to the horse's mouth, so to speak.
One more thing about hotels I want to mention before we move on is that it's a good idea to carry the prices all the way through to the end so you know what you're actually getting. By that, I mean, if you are on a website and you think you found the cheapest price, go ahead and say book now. You don't have to actually do it, but I want you to go to the screen where it shows you the final price. That is the only true way you're going to know whether the price they've quoted you includes taxes and fees, because some websites include those fees, taxes and fees, in the initial price quote that they give you. Others do not include it, which a lot of the hotel websites directly don't include it. And so you have to get to that final pay screen before you actually know whether or not those taxes and fees are included and you know what price you're looking at.
Okay, now that you have picked your hotel, you found the cheapest price or the best rate, go ahead and book your hotel, and then we will go to the next step.
Okay, one other thing I want to mention with regard to hotels and picking the best rate. If you are going to a foreign country, you also need to consider the exchange rate. So if you are on a website and it is saying that there is no prepayment needed, that you're going to pay at the hotel when you get there, that could or could not be a bad thing depending on the exchange rate. Because a lot of times if you see that it's $1,000 today and then you get there, the exchange rate might change between now and then, and you may pay a higher price if it goes unfavorably by the time you go. Also, you could pay a cheaper price because you never know with the exchange rates which direction it's going to go. But if you're concerned about a potential big swing one way or the other, I would encourage you to find a hotel place where you can book the hotel where you can pay up front. That way you're locking in today's exchange rate and you are not at the mercy of swings one way or the other.
The minute that you buy your flight, or within a couple days, buy travel insurance. I cannot recommend travel insurance enough, honestly. It will be a little bit more than what you are used to. It is going to be maybe a couple hundred more, depending on how big your trip is, how long it is, where you're going, and how much you're spending. But please, if there's nothing else you take away from this video at all, please, I encourage you to buy travel insurance, especially if you are traveling alone. Not only does it cover if your trip is canceled, if you lose your baggage, if there's a flight delay, they even have one of the travel companies, Travel Guard, actually has an emergency program. So if you lose your passport and your wallet, they will actually give you emergency cash and will help you to replace your passport. It also covers if there's a problem or delay in any portion of your trip, including if there's a delay, on your excursions and things. But the biggest reason that I like to use it is medical. So as I said, medical is one of the main reasons that you're going to want travel insurance. If you look online, if you look on YouTube, you're going to find several firsthand experiences with people who have traveled abroad and have fallen on to either they got very sick, they got hurt, some kind of a medical emergency happened, and because of travel insurance, they were taken care of. Because a lot of times when you're in another country and something catastrophic happens, a lot of them ask for cash up front before they take care of you because you're a foreigner. And if you don't have that cash up front, sometimes you can't get the care that you need. And some of these medical situations require tens, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars. I have a family member that was traveling abroad with their elderly husband, and something went wrong. He had a complication with a current health concern that he had and needed to be airlifted. The cost for airlifting him out was hundreds of thousands of dollars. And because of travel insurance, that was entirely covered. There's another story about a gentleman who was traveling alone. He suffered from a stroke and had to go into the hospital for 6 weeks. He was in a coma. He required a lot of extra care. And ultimately, when he was strong enough to be released from the hospital, he was able to fly home. The airline actually created a special emergency kind of room for him with a bed. He had a doctor and a nurse travel with him to make sure he arrived home safely. And when he arrived home, he had transportation from the airport, medical transportation, to the hospital where he continued on with his recovery. All of that was $70,000. They paid not one penny of that. Coverage, the travel insurance covered absolutely everything. Not only that, but his wife and he himself did not need to arrange for the flight, arrange for the special pod with a bed, arrange for the doctor. The travel insurance company arranged for all of that. All they had to do was focus on getting better and getting home. You want to be protected. So I again, encourage, please buy travel insurance. Now, you want to buy it within a few days of booking your flight because they're going to ask for when you paid for your trip. Whether it's when you booked your cruise, when you bought your flight, when you booked your hotels, they're going to want to know that date because that date matters. The coverage is going to change the further away you go. If you try to book it right before your trip, you might not have the full coverage that you would get as if you had booked it immediately after you booked your flight. So pay attention to that date. and book it within a few days so you get the maximum benefits that you can get out of your travel insurance. It is super simple to buy travel insurance. I want to go ahead and give you just a really, really brief rundown to show you what it looks like and how it works. Okay, I am here on Travel Guard, which is one of the two companies that I always recommend, Travel Guard and Allianz. And I like Travel Guard because it has a few extra things. Like, for instance, I mentioned they have an emergency feature where if you lose your wallet or have your wallet stolen and your passport stolen, they will give you emergency cash and help you replace your passport. And they have a couple other things. For instance, they have an adventure sports package. So if you are planning to do, say, scuba diving, or you're going, zip lining or something like that, they have a package that will cover you if something were to happen in that case. So that's why I like Travel Guard. They also have yearly plans. So if you find that you're traveling quite often during a year, you can buy a yearly plan and be covered for one price for all of your trips for that year, which is excellent. And that's what I usually do because I travel quite a lot. So I recommend that if that's something that you do. But let's go ahead and just quickly show you how easy it is to get travel insurance for when you're traveling alone. So I'm going to stick with our Japan as our sample place that we're going. You just enter where you're going. And I'm going to say I'm going by airplane. I'm going to, move myself out of the way and pick the dates that we were using before, which was November. And then I am in California. And my date of birth. And we're going to say for my purposes that I'm going to spend $3,000. Let's say that's what my trip costs, not including food and stuff, just your airfare, hotel, or if it's your cruise cost, that's what they're asking. And see, here's where it's asking your initial payment date. So I'm going to say that I bought it today, which is, I believe, the 27th of May is where I am currently. And I'm going to get a quote. Okay, so here's where it talks about what your options are. So if you're buying about a $3,000 trip, these are the prices. If you're buying a $20,000 trip, these prices are going to be higher, of course, because they have to insure a higher overall cost. So it's really easy how it compares the three to choose from. Cancel for any reason. Now, with in mind of coronavirus, cancel for any reason isn't truly for any reason. If it's something that you already know is going to happen, say right now, if you were to buy this now and then try to cancel for coronavirus, you wouldn't be able to do that because they already know coronavirus is a thing and they already know it's going on. Cancel for any reason is for unforeseen issues that crop up, or excuse me, if you just change your mind. But you can say you changed your mind, say you got sick, say a family member got sick and you changed your mind, you could cancel for those reasons. Trip interruption, if there's a cancellation, if something happens. Medical expenses, this is where it just incredible coverage. This is the most important thing that I can tell you to get. Also dental. There's nothing worse than, cracking a tooth in another country and being miserable. You need to be able to get that coverage. You can also see the more details. Coverage for financial default. Now, this one I really want to talk about because this is the reason why you want to pick a third-party travel insurance like Travel Guard or Allianz, and not necessarily the coverage that comes through your airline, your cruise line, or anything else, because this covers for financial default. If you buy a cruise or you book a flight on an airline that goes out of business, it declares bankruptcy and it is in default. Excuse me. And it goes into default. If you bought your insurance through that same company, you're kind of screwed. They're not going to cover it if they go under, if they go bankrupt. But if you buy it through a third party, they will cover if that company goes out of business. And it's happening. I know it sounds like it's crazy that would happen, but especially during coronavirus, this is happening left and right. A lot of companies are going out of business because of the coronavirus. So you really want to protect yourself and have an insurance that covers if there's financial default. Also, terrorism, unannounced strikes, inclement weather. I mean, look at all of the things that it covers when you're traveling alone. These are the things that are going to make all of the difference to you to make sure that if something happens, you are protected and you are covered.
I want to thank you so much for stopping by today. If you found this helpful, please go ahead and click that subscribe button and the notification bell so that you'll be notified when our next episode comes out in a couple days. Also, I want to encourage you to click that link below to receive that free download, which is a list which I have compiled includes everything that we're covering in these 3 videos. It is actually step-by-step with links, with extra resources that we haven't talked about in these videos, and you can get it for free in the link below. So I just want to say thank you so much for stopping by. I want to wish you a very healthy and safe year and happy travels. Bye-bye.